Hello, this is part 2 now of a class on living in the times. What does living in the times mean is that in Jewish astrology, where we said last time, in Jewish astrology there's sort of like eternal values. There's certain values that transcend the times that we live in. And as people, somebody's born in America and they don't have any really value system that they grew up with, they become a product, what we call a product of the times. They hold the views that are conventional, they hold the opinions that are conventional. They don't imagine, even in their head, that there could be something else. Because they're closed off. They're in a closed circuit system of American culture, especially. I've been away from America 40 years and I still have things revealing all the time different layers of depth of the American dream that I grew up with. But in any case, so the conventional wisdom we were talking about last time, how you can break from astrology, how astrology is not only connected with the sender, what the sender sends, it's also important how the influences of heaven are received, how the person receives it. And one of those ways is based on their belief system, on the way they hold their life, on their morality, on what they grow up with, what they were given by their parents, by their teachers, by their religion. It has a powerful impact, and it's going to alter how you receive the energy. So I was giving the example last week. In Jerusalem, the women have average of 6, 7 children. In Tel Aviv, the average is 2, 3. I guess closer to 3. But it's almost double in Jerusalem. So the question becomes why? Is that because the horoscopes of women in Jerusalem are better for pregnancy? The answer is no. The answer is that most of the women in Jerusalem are religious, and the first commandment is to be fruitful and multiply. You can't have a society without children. You can't have a faith without children, especially Judaism is so family-oriented. So you see an example here right away how who you are and what you're made of, how that influences how you see it, influences your mazel. In other words, because you're religious, Jewish religious, you're going to have more children as a general rule than somebody who's not religious. Because if they're not religious, they have all sorts of cheshbonot, all sorts of reasoning not to bring children. It's expensive. We won't be able to take vacations. We won't be able to go skiing. How are we going to get them through school? How are we going to educate all the children? How are we going to do? What do we need children for anyway? They just this world's going to get blown up anyway sooner or later. And we're just bringing them into a world of misery. I mean, there are all sorts of explanations. But in the end, it comes down to what you believe in. And so that's that's the main focal point of this class, is the Jewish astrology is based on a different value system, a different way, and it's very important to know. I lived in America until I was 26, and I know many girls that I went to high school with and in college, and the ones I hear about or talk with, still they all say that they all regret that they didn't have more children. Not one have I ever met who said they regret they had too many children. All right? So it's very, very interesting. And so you see that because in the times we live, It's not necessarily the truth. It's just the times we live in. And that's what the media is pushing, and that's what it's a time of hedonism now. And so who wants children when you can have so much fun? Why give up those years raising children? And you can be out there doing whatever you want. You got big money. America, everybody's got, big money. They're getting by. And they can go out and have a really good time. So why have children? But in any case, I have unlimited number of stories. And it's sad because it really hurts people. I know a lot of women in their 60s that, they go to bed crying at night that they didn't have more children or that they had abortions. Yeah, I had a case recently, a woman, very clever woman, very smart, very, very, very intelligent. And she was explaining to me when she was early 20s, she wanted to get pregnant, and she wasn't getting pregnant. She went to the doctor. The doctor said, you got cysts, and because of the cysts, you can't have children. You're not going to have children. Forget about it. And so somehow she went to this herbologist out in she was living in the western part of the USA. And the herbologist was a very clever man, and he gave her herbs to take, and the tumor, the cyst went away, and she had a boy. Then what happened? She got pregnant again, 2 more times, and each time she had an abortion. Who understands this? You have a miracle. You were crying that you never have children. Then you get fixed. You have 1 child, and then you do 2 abortions. Why? Until today she says she doesn't, how could she do an abortion, Hurt her very much. Most women, they really get hurt by having abortions. That's another story, There's another story where it leads to. Talking about what's, say, Judaism, how it influences morality. Once you permit abortion, then eventually you're going to start to permit other stuff like euthanasia, where you're allowed to kill people that are old or infirm or something like that. It's not something new. And actually it started to develop in the 20s in America. They had what's called eugenics, which was a way to a belief system that helped all kids that are born not with genetic problems or that, you could kill them, for sure. Kill them. And so today, there's a movement now for euthanasia, so then people are going to start, eventually. Who knows where that'll lead next? They'll start to kill Jews. Eventually. So it's not a real laughing matter, but, there's something wrong with us, and we need to be fixed. But no, the euthanasia is, again, it's a serious problem, and so, but if it's part of the times, so go with it. People, it's conventional wisdom. People don't think so much. People accept what they're taught on TV, the radio, the newspaper, the tweet, or whatever. People believe things without thinking too much. And you don't know where it's going to lead. And so that's another idea of Jewish astrology, is you have to understand the person's belief system, who they are, where they're coming, what moves them. It's an interesting thing. Look, in China, they have a 1-child birth policy, right? And so what happens? People don't want to, if it's a girl, everybody wants to have a boy first. So if it's a girl, when she's born, they take her out to the woods and kill her. It's, people think that's normal. Why? Because the times we live in. If you're in China, That's what you grew up with. You can have one child, and if it's not a boy, so you have to get rid of the girl. In India, they do it more cleverly. They do genetic testing, and because they want a boy first, and and so if it's a girl, they'll abort it at least, a very early stage of pregnancy. But it's still, I remember I went to Shlomo Zalman Oyed, a big rabbi in Jerusalem, the top rabbi back in 30 years ago. And my wife became pregnant with her first kid. And she had a number of abortions, and not abortions, a number of miscarriages. And I asked Rav Shlomo for a bracha for a boy. And he said, it's until 40 days you can pray that whatever, it doesn't take a gender-specific nature until 40 days of pregnancy. So you can pray the first 40 days to have a boy. And so I asked Rabbi Shlomo for a blessing for a boy. And he told me, he says, sometimes you get more pleasure from a girl than from a boy having a daughter. And so really, Judaism is much different than the conventional, the ways of the world. It's a different, so we're just talking about the importance of what's going on in your head, what kind of belief system you have. And again, there's a lot of things that they're going to, you don't see any Jewish suicide bombers, You're not going to look at the horoscope of somebody Jewish and say, oh, he's going to go with a belt full of things and blow himself up. It doesn't happen, right? So you have to know the country the person's coming from. You have to know the belief system, all sorts of things. So that the education he had, the religion, maybe they're atheists, all things that impact on how you receive the influences from heaven. And I thank you very much for listening. And by the way, I have a book out on Jewish astrology called Jewish Astrology, Cosmic Science, and it's available on Amazon. And also I teach Kabbalah. I teach over Skype, not very expensive because I live in Israel, so I can take less money than the big shots in America take for teaching astrology. And I'd be happy to teach people over the phone. There's not many Jewish astrologers who practice real Jewish astrology, and it could be lucrative. And so if you want, call me, get in touch with me. My number is it's in Israel. I have a cell phone, 052-287-152. You're all welcome to call. And thank you for listening.